You're welcome back to the show. Now let's talk about kidnapping. Well, he set out to buy some items by the roadside at a very busy junction, Atinga Junction. It's a very busy intersection at Ahojo in the Ashanti region, capital Kumasi. Now, 3 men lured him out of his car, pulled a gun on him and pushed him into a waiting car, and then they bolted. Well, that's the story of Prakash Chaudhary, a 30-year-old businessman resident in Kumasi. His kidnappers demanded $500,000 or said he'd be killed within 24 hours. Well, thankfully, he has been rescued well before the ultimatum and is currently receiving medical attention.
So the Indian businessman was abducted 7 kilometers from here. That's Ahojo, close to the city center of Kumasi. And just this morning, we found him right here on that stone slab this morning. And this is Akukwa-Amon, very close to Pakoso, within the Aswase constituency. Now, from what we are learning today, it looks like fresh information coming in, which indicates that he might have been abducted earlier than the 8 p.m. we were told yesterday. And from the accounts of women who have gathered here, they say they saw a green vehicle, a green saloon car parked right here over there close to the primary school. And there were 2 gentlemen, young men, holding mobile phones, standing on that stone slab over there. And there were 2 young men who cannot be identified sitting in the vehicle around 8 p.m. yesterday. Now, this morning, around 9 or 10 thereabouts, we trailed the police who got information that he has been dumped here at Akukwa-Amon, close to Pakoso. And so we came, and it's true indeed, from the accounts, when he was left right about the middle of the night, he went over here to seek refuge in a house there. And he asked them to keep him till his brother and the police will come. And that is where he spent quite some hours before this morning when the police heard of it, and they came with the relatives to rescue him. We will go to that house and get the residents there to tell us more. So this is where the Indian businessman entered to take refuge when he fled from his captors. It's not clear how he fled, but we'll have to find out from the people who live in this house. As I say, Eti chemi mukakra orefia ha no no dia sam no kan
no to form ha say ni hunu mu nyina ye moja ni ebusa ne say obedide na so oba no mu nsuo ntie pure water me no ya de man na gu form wono mo ti wono pure water ni wie na ebusa ne say ye man na duro no na osen ya obenom ti mi sister radem na ye ka chance onfo esoro no nkwa brosan no so nti okọ osoro no mo no ana ye ye etinyi de command no hono mo na onom nti onom wie ya na ehu say ne bra maba omo be fa no
Satan na boss en owura fi ha
me pa cha me ka me hair time na ye
ba na de achi
anope ya.
Well, so from what we are learning, he came in and went down on his knees right here and asked them to save him, that he has been captured by some people. And so she's telling me that she was sitting right here. They gave him water to drink, and after that they asked him whether he needs medication because he was bleeding through the nose and he had some swollen face and all that. And he agreed, and so they gave him some medication, and then they asked him to go up there. So he went up there and sat up there all throughout. They went in, prepared some beverage and gave it to him to take. Right after that, they waited until the police came in this morning. But let me find out more from her. Mama, Ediasamna or Kachemo, no, or say, or more chin on where then with Timidjane.
Or say, no much training to or Jane or Jim not a man too. No boom to a boom, no Johnny and no be ra, ya say ya, ye Jane na. Or say, or didn't you a number man, so say, young friend. No for police for men. See, I have who say police for number. Or more than a call by chair.
So she's telling me that according to the man, he was able to fight at a point, fight his captors, 2 gentlemen. He fought them physically, and he was able to liberate himself and run from their area. And so he actually fled from his captors before he entered this place. But then up to now, he's saying that he doesn't know whether those people have fled or where they went, or that he doesn't know about that. But certainly, that's the information that we're getting from occupants of this house where the businessman sought refuge.
Erastus Asare Donko filed that report, but following the rescue, the police has been addressing a news conference, and at that news conference they provide details of what actually happened. Let me just let you know, by the way, that I've got ACP Kwesi Ofori here in the studio with me. I also have Adam Bona, who is a security expert as well, and we'll be talking about this trend of kidnapping. But first, here is a police press conference which they organized right after the rescue.
Chudri, a 31-year-old Indian businessman, a victim of kidnapping, was today, Friday, 26 April 2019, at about 10 a.m., rescued from kidnappers at Apokwabong, near Prakuso, a suburb of Kumasi. As we speak, he has since been sent to the Konfanoche Teaching Hospital for medical checkup. The police will later give full details on the kidnapping. That took place at about 5 p.m. yesterday, Thursday, 25th April 2019. Although the kidnappers had earlier demanded a $500,000 ransom through Bitcoin, they wanted the relatives or the work colleagues of the victim to pay that amount to them through Bitcoin, but the money wasn't paid to them. The police had tirelessly worked with other stakeholders, including the third coast, overnight to get the victim rescued. Although the victims managed to escape, as a command, we are assuring the public that through informants and other good persons in society, will get to the heels of these kidnappers. We would also like to use this medium to appeal to the general public that whoever has information on these miscreants to please report to the Regional Police Command or call our hotline and give any credible or vital information that can lead to the arrest of these suspects. We would also like to advise the general public to be conscious of their personal security and their surroundings so that they will not fall prey to such persons. So we invited you here this afternoon to tell you that as a command, overnight we worked tirelessly and we've been able to rescue the victim. And then at the appropriate time, we'll give you the full details of how the kidnapping was done and how we also managed to get him rescued. That we had one of them yesterday by name Akon. He was also declared wanted. When they brought him, he was injured, so the commander instructed that he should be sent to the hospital for treatment. So he's also currently at the Konfanoche Teaching Hospital receiving medical treatment. So when he's discharged, he will be brought back to the station for further investigation.
The family says they don't know where he is.
Koduna Hyanyo speaks for the police in the Ashanti region. I've been joined in the studio, like I indicated, by ACP Kwesi Ofori, who is the Accra Police Operations Commander. ACP, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I also have here security analyst Adam Bona. Mr. Bona, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Momentarily, we'll be joined by an IT expert to discuss this matter and other kidnappings witnessed in the country in recent times. Remember the 3 girls who have been kidnapped in Takoradi, they have still not been found. And last week, a Lebanese consular general at the Estonian embassy here in Accra was also kidnapped at Spinter. He was actually kidnapped at Laboni and taken to Spinters Road. It took the intervention again of the police to rescue him. What really is happening? ACP will tell us. Perhaps the police has a lot more information. But Erastus joins me from Kumasi. Erastus.
Yeah, Gifty.
Erastus, what is the latest on this story?
Well, the latest is that currently the businessman is receiving treatment. I think they ruffled him a bit. He has a bloodshot eye, some swollen face, and he was also bleeding through the nose as well. And he needs counseling as well because he went through a lot with his kidnappers. And so he's currently receiving that kind of support.
Has he spoken to anybody about the story that the woman told you regarding how he freed himself, fought off these young men, and run?
So he has been telling the occupants of the house where he sought refuge before the police picked him up this morning that at a point in time he was able to take off the tapes that were used to tie his hands behind him, and he struggled with the two gentlemen, fought them. That's according to what he told the occupants of the house, that he was able to fight them and flee from their custody. And when he came in, the occupants say that he was looking very terrified, constantly telling them that he wants them to lock the gate because the people are looking for him. So it looked like they were in pursuit, hot pursuit, and he ran into the to take refuge in that particular story building. So they gave him at the uncompleted part of the story building to hide. And all this time he was sitting there shivering like a leaf, according to them, until the police came in to pick him up.
Interesting, Erastus. So his family showed up at the time. He was able to give them a number to his family, and then they called them, and then they showed up with the police. Exactly.
According to the lady there, when he came in, he requested for water. So they gave him 2 sachets of water. He drank them all, and then he also requested for a painkiller. So they gave him some paracetamol and prepared a beverage for him. Okay. And it was then that he was able to give them contact to his brother. So they called the brother notified the police, and the police came in. So we followed the police to the place, and they picked him from that particular house. Nobody has been arrested yet? No, because by the time they got there, all the gentlemen had already, fled the scene, and that was at dawn. And we got there like 10:30 or so. So they might have been long gone. But eyewitnesses say they saw a green saloon car parked in front of that particular house around 8 p.m. last night. Erastus, thank you very much for the story and for the follow-up. Erastus Asari Donko, a member of the security desk here at JoyNews, bringing us up to speed on what has happened. Like I indicated, I've got my panelists in the studio. Let's have a conversation. I'm sure you're terrified if you listen to the story, especially if you followed the trend. You certainly are terrified. You're wondering, asking yourself, who next? Who will it be next? What is happening? Who is doing this? The police is here. They will tell us. Momentarily, I'll bring back the Spinters Road kidnap story. But let's start the conversation. ACP Kwesi Ofori, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. What is happening?
Well, this is a new type of crime that we're witnessing in our criminal history. Kidnapping have not been part of the Ghanaian criminal history. And of late, we've seen this kind of unholy development, this criminal act taking place in some places in the country. One thing I can say is that the police is poised and determined, to fight this type of crime. It is unknown to the Ghanaian, but what is happening, we've marshaled our resources, we've taken a posture, to work in partnership with members of the public. Looking at the Kumasi incident, you can see that strong coordination between the police and members of the public. And that resilience, that toughness, and information flow and exchange of ideas, led to the rescue of Chaudhry. Again, talking about this Sakumono Lashibi issue. Not to interrupt you, but I will have to do that briefly here. When you say the police, it's a police coordinated rescue. From the story we're hearing, the gentleman was able to fight his way out of captivity, and then later on his brother, who was then with the police, came in. The point I want to make is the Chaudhry's host, that woman, and the family were able to take his brother's number.
Okay.
Chaudhry was
so
without
the way
phone.
that they helped.
They helped, call his brother. The police responded, listened to the brother. They coordinated, together.
So essentially, you're saying that individuals have a role to play in dealing with this.
It's very key.
Very well.
Very
one of the things that we need to do is to understand the problem. Then we know what we're dealing with, then we can help ourselves with the solution. So what I believe a lot of people want to find out is whether the police has any information, any sort of intelligence about why we're experiencing this at the moment. Do we know?
Now we're putting our nose together. It started recently. We saw that some foreigners were behind the first two that we recorded, or three.
Nigerians,
including the I would not like, to preach hate crime or so.
Not necessarily.
But it's a fact that they were Nigerians, right? And looking at the trend, we are looking at it in more critical terms, trying to do our analysis and be able to protect the Ghanaian and whosoever lives in our dear country. So as I said, to be able to fight it well, we've seen that the police have positioned themselves. That toughness is there. They are prepared, in rescue operations, in doing whatever to get the perpetrators. Now, last week, somebody was jailed 36 years. That speedy investigation, that speedy work done by the police is so commendable. And we've gotten the jail term. Now, the other regarding the
Spintex,
the consular general, the Spintex one, you might have also noticed that today they splash even one of the kidnappers, photograph, calling for public support, calling for people to help arrest him. And that is a good thing. And they've also given assurance to the Ghanaian people that the police are ever prepared and to fight this crime.
Okay. I will bring you that Spintex story that ACP Kwesi Ofori refers to. It happened in Laboni. They picked up a diplomat in Laboni, took him to their residence at Spintex, Lashibi, and we'll bring you that story so you have an idea. But quickly, let me take, Mr. Bona, let me take your thought on what is happening.
I think what is happening is synonymous with probably some of our neighboring countries, i.e. Nigeria. Kidnapping is not news in Nigeria, unless it involves probably some expats, some big business person or some celebrity. If not kidnappings, these are not things that probably, most of it goes unreported in Nigeria. But when you come back home, we are beginning to see, that huge influx of, some Nigerians into this country. And accompanying that is some of these people who don't have, whose call it their business is into kidnapping, making money out of, capturing people.
So from the way you see it, there is this trend has something to do with the influx of foreigners.
Yes.
And because we have seen, like ACP said, it is fact that the people that have been behind the first two that we've seen are Nigerians, that this is happening because of the influx of Nigerians.
And it's now moving from a particular softer type of kidnapping to taking people hostage.
People can give you money.
Initially, these Takrady girls we are still looking for, they lured them with probably jobs. Now you are captured. They will capture you in the middle of the road, force you, gunpoint. And if you look at where this one happened in Kumasi, it is a very a populated area, and there were people there.
And that's an area you would not expect that people will just kidnap you.
Exactly.
You want to be in a very quiet place and expect that.
If you know Kumasi very well, around that, in Kumasi Township or Kumasi Metropolis, the whole of Kumasi Metropolis around that time is busy, or that's the rush hour. And so if they were able to kidnap this guy, took him away, it tells you that we have a big problem at hand. Fortunately, my own checks indicate the police didn't sleep. And so I believe that the collaboration between the police and probably the telecos overnight. I'm told they didn't sleep throughout the night, you know, and so the kidnappers probably would have gotten wind of it. And so when the guy escaped, there was no need, probably still lurking around the place, and so they had to, they themselves, you know, run away from the area. And so for me, we've got to tackle this issue head on. If we are not able to do that, I must say we are all at risk, great risk, because then it's moved from luring people. Therefore, in the past, if you ask me, how do we prevent, you know, kidnapping by luring people, enticing people, then you would say, don't accept lift.
Yeah, don't do this.
But now,
it's just brazen. They pick you up.
Yeah, they pick you up. And so, are you going to tell people you fight them?
What do we do? What do we do? I'm going to come to that answer. I'm going to come to that answer. That will be the next leg of our conversation. But because we've referred to that Spintex story, and that's a very similar case here. Let's go to that story about the Estonian diplomat who was kidnapped by two, we understand, Nigerians. Have a look.
This is the property where the alleged kidnapping happened. We met the owner of this property here some minutes ago. We got closer to the owner of the property. We wanted to speak to him, but he drove off together with another man in the vehicle. When you come here today, there's actually a lock on the brown gate here. Information, according to police, indicates that they picked intelligence about the alleged kidnapping, so they stormed the residence of the Nigerians. We say that the three Nigerians who lived here managed to scale this wall here. At the scene, police say they met the diplomats coming out of one of the rooms. He narrated to them how armed men forced him into a waiting vehicle. According to the head of missions of Estonia, the men demanded ransom once they arrived at the location where he was held hostage. Residents described to us what they saw when police arrived.
We saw a lot of policemen around, you know, going around motor with the Tacoma and whatever, but we don't know what is going on. So I went there. Actually, I was going to town and I came out and I went there. I saw that the gate was open, but I was told that there's a Nigerian guy over there who has kidnapped a white man. That's what I heard. There are a lot of policemen, so they've been going around, going to people's houses, thinking maybe the guy has jumped the wall or something, because they couldn't find him. Yeah, they were after him, but they couldn't find him. Now they went to this house. They went to one of my friend's house over here. And there's a guy over there, even they told the guy to come out. And they interviewed him, and then, you know, but they couldn't find the guy. Yeah, because I heard they came and knocked the gate. One policeman knocked the gate, and then he opened. The guy himself opened the gate, and then what they will see is he locked the gate back, you know, and then they rushed on him. But all of a sudden, he's gone. He's vanished.
There's one house on this road. And they say that there's Nigeria boys around there, and they have kidnapped a white man. Say the morning is going to Jockey. They say they pick him from this, and how to call him, Laboni. Bring him here. It's a privilege to the government to see if the Nigerians, they will let them sleep exactly 6 o'clock, 5:30 to 6, or we'll be okay. Because since that is happening, Master, me, I'm a taxi driver. Not everything I can fit talk to you. Yeah, so we are appealing for the government to see all these things for us.
A policy not to show people who have been suspects.
According to police, a brand new pistol with 5 rounds of ammunition was found in the car used for the alleged kidnapping. The vehicle was parked at the Lashibi residence of the Nigerians. Accra Regional Police Public Relations Officer DSP Ifiatinge says police is on a manhunt for the suspects.
He was rescued, and the vehicle that was used in the search act was also impounded by the police. And also the police was able to retrieve a pistol. As I speak to you now, the occupants of the house who allegedly embarked on this kidnap have escaped, and that the regional command is on a manhunt for these three. We are working assiduously to make sure that the three are apprehended to face the full rigors of the law. And this comes to 2 cases in about 3 weeks that the police have been able to rescue victims of this kind of trend in crime. There's a trend, and the police will not hesitate and marshalling its resources to ensure this trend of crime that we are seeing does not have its way in Ghana, especially in Accra.
For now, the property rented by the Nigerians looks abandoned, and it's unclear whether or not the police locked it up. More information should come from the police in the coming days. Maxwell Agbagba for JoyNews.
So the way that Maxwell wraps up that story, he says more information on that will come from the police. For this afternoon, I'm just learning that the police has placed a gentleman suspected or believed to have been the kidnapper. The police has done its own work, and they have a picture. They have a picture that's going round. The guy is wanted by the police. Momentarily, we'll be putting that picture up so that you have an idea. Like we say, see something, say something. But back to the conversation we're having, Mr. Bona, I ended with you. What can we do? I think that we should come to the police for this. Now, what we're saying, like Mr. Bona said, everybody is at risk. If they can do this in broad daylight at a very busy intersection, they can do this anywhere. It's even easier if they have to do it in obscure places. We've seen the trend. What can we as individuals do? How do we protect ourselves?
Well, thank you very much. I believe that we need to do the following. 1, the moment you see any sign of struggle, or any person or group of person trying to force somebody into a vehicle, one should immediately call the police emergency number 1-855-191-0302-773906, or any local police number in your community. People should take interest in knowing the police number, the bosses in and around their jurisdiction. And one thing is, the moment even you suspect that somebody is monitoring you or following you, either you walking or you driving, please kindly go to the nearby police station, or even raise alarm. You can even toot your horn or do something to attract people. For instance, the Hojo incident, we don't know exactly how it happened. But assuming you are being pulled out, people should question. People should, come in, to deter some of these criminal acts. Apart from that, also going to ATM places, late at night or very quiet moments and so forth, we should be very, very careful. And also going to the banks, to take money. If you're going to take a huge money, then solicit off-counter treatment, meaning you should not take that bulk money at the counter, but they should have, a place for you to take the money quietly and leave the bank premises, because we have all kinds of people loitering. And then we should also not pull out cash, huge money at the mall and other places of business. These people are going all around. And one thing, let me make it clear, that our biggest commodity in Ghana, very precious commodity, is peace in this country. Well, and we should not, exchange it for anything. So Ghanaians, should be prepared, and we're going to do a lot of public education already. The Accra Regional Head of Public Relations, DSP Madam Ifia Tenge, has already, initiated public campaign, serious campaign in schools and colleges, and they even, with drama attached to it. So what we are saying is that we are determined, to fight this crime. But and another important element is landlords, house owners. That's the point I was actually going to come to. Because when if they are foreigners, they live in homes, homes owned by Ghanaians, or homes that they have bought, and they bought it from somebody.
Enjoying rent house, I think that a lot of people don't really know that if you're renting out. When I went to the UK and I went to rent out a place, I had to show my passport, and they have to have a copy of my passport. To what extent do we do that around here in Ghana?
Yes. So, what I'm saying is that landlords will be held responsible, you know, for some of these crimes, because you give your room to somebody, you don't have any detail about the person, no picture, no passport, no information, and the person, you know, uses your premises as, you know, a prison, unlawful place, you know, to detain innocent people and so forth. I believe that the landlord should be looked at. An investigation will seriously, you know, count them in.
So the gentleman at Spintex, is he the landlord at Spintex? Has the police brought him in?
I am aware that the regional CID has extended an invite to him, Mr. Boateng, to report, you know, to the police, you know, and I think it's critical. He should help us in investigations. And I believe that if our laws perhaps does not cover some of the necessary ingredients regarding looking for passport, taking photograph and so forth, I believe that the lawmakers should soon, you know, do it. That every landlord is mandated.
I think it does. If you take a look at the rent law,
immigration,
and the rent law, it does.
If then that thing need to be complied with, and landlords need to go strictly by the law, taking photograph, passport number, and so forth. And of late, we see another trend where a common 2-bedroom, you see 50, 60 people, foreigners in the house. You know, and the Ghanaian, you don't see any 2-bedroom house with 50, 60 people.
Is that a responsibility of the landlord as well? I gave out my room. I gave out my room to somebody. Just a second. I think let Mr. ACP wrap up and then we'll come to you.
So let us try as much as possible to regulate 2-bedroom. How many people are you supposed to? If you come for the house. For instance, we carry out an exercise regarding some of these foreigners, and in the 2-bedroom, we had over 50 people.
Okay. Let me bring Mr. Bona in there. Mr. Bona, you had a quick intervention on that.
Yes, if you look at that aspect, before you are granted a building permit, you've got to submit your building plan, and you have to indicate, you know, if it's for domestic, if it's for commercial, and all these things are usually captured. And therefore, if you have a 2-bedroom house and you have probably 10 people in there, you know, there will be a certain bylaw that will not permit you to do that. And also probably coming back to what we need to do.
What we need to do.
If you look at the latest trend, for instance, using this guy who was captured in Kumasi, I mean, one of the advice I would give is that you sit in your car, you know, these days most vehicles have this central locking. Just and usually it's at the driver's side, just lock it. And for instance, if you have listened to the reportage, it is said that, what do you call it? The man, they deceived him, they tricked him into telling him that, you know what, your tie, I mean, you need to put air or your tie is down. And therefore he came out of the car. These days, most cars have, what do you call it, the tilting mechanism in the car that allows you to be able to tilt your side mirrors down to be able to see whether indeed your tires are down or they are not down. And so these are things that people should do. Instead of sometimes just jumping in the middle of the road when someone tells you, oh, there's a problem with your car. So I
believe it's time we're very conscious of that.
Exactly.
That when somebody is stopping you and saying, hey, look out for it, just be, I mean, as long as the car is moving you, I think you should just
go.
move
And usually if you know your car, if the one tire is losing air, you would know that it looks like my car, you know, this side of the car is losing air, and therefore I need to drive to the nearest, probably the vulcanizing joint to be able to put in some amount of air. And so as far as I'm concerned, I'm looking at it and saying that a lot of education need to go in. And I think this afternoon I was having discussions on certain platforms. The immigration service, they seems to be sleeping on their job. I mean, what are they doing? Because then I'm expecting that by now they should have been telling us how many foreigners are coming into this country, how many of them, the protocol the protocol governing the West African nationals says that 90 days. Do people just come and they stamp without recording where they are coming from, without recording where they are coming to stay. I think they
But they also tell you that our borders are porous, and so people can get in easily.
Let's deal with those who are going through the
right channels.
The approved channels.
What about? Don't you think that we should rather be focusing on the end of their journey, which is where they go to live, because they live somewhere, and these houses are owned by Ghanaians.
You cannot focus on, on the end of the journey without focusing on trying to stop them. Okay. If you put in measures to stop them, put in more restrictions, make sure quality immigrants are coming in, then those who have already slipped through and have probably metamorphosed into something else, we find a way to stop them. That is where we say that the Immigration Act 2000, I think 573, thereabout, talks about harboring, aliens and harboring some of these people. They should work in collaboration with the police, work in collaboration with the other security agencies, and get this thing done. If you ask me, I would say that as soon as possible, probably, I don't know who has to do that, maybe the Ministry of the Interior, somebody maybe would have to do that, or the President would have to put a joint task force to deal with this canker, because then we are beginning to have one kidnapping almost a week.
Yeah, I mean,
we are beginning to have one.
I think it's about one in 2 weeks, and they're not targeting the small boys and girls anymore. And so, I mean, if you are in power, perhaps, and you feel like, well, you've got security, they're doing it brazenly, and they're doing it.
And so, I think that if there is a joint task force, what the task force will be doing, because, for instance, now the joint task force should include the telcos. Should include national security, should include the BNI, should include probably, the police definitely will lead the task force together with immigration. So therefore, members of the task force, if it includes immigration, for instance, and you have probably their bases in Accra, and there's something going on in Kumasi, you don't have to, you know that you are an immigration officer assigned to the task force. You can call Kumasi office and say, deal with this issue, deal with that issue. But if you look at the issue of this Takrady kidnapping, the reason why we are still struggling with it, it has to do with the delay with information, where you just can't go to a telecom company and say, I need the details of a particular call somebody made. We need to check this, we need to check that.
But if they are part of the task force, and they're working together,
mandated to make sure that this thing is done away with, I'm telling you, this thing would not live with us for a long time. But if we leave it and treat it as if though, you see, it's normal. Fortunately, the police have put themselves together, and now anytime there's a kidnapping, it doesn't take more than 48 hours. They rescue. I mean,
I'm coming to
congratulations to my good friend who was recently promoted, ACP.
Thank you very much.
But the point is, how did the Estonian, kidnapping go? How did the police hear of it? How did the police manage to track them down? I mean, we know that in Kumasi, as far as the gentleman's report is concerned, he freed himself, and then he got to people who called his brother up. But in the Estonian case, we know that the police went to the residence where the man was kept. How did the police do that?
Yeah, the police were in their, routine anti-crime exercise in that neighborhood, and I think they had some kind of intelligence that there are some unknown guys in there, without knowing exactly what they do. So during their routine patrol, they went to the place and they've locked the place up, as the video, depicts, with all the security facilities and electrified wire, on top of the facility. So it was not easy for you to penetrate, unless you bring in a more technical person, to do away with the electricity and so forth. And immediately they wanted to go in. The guys, scale over the wall and then, run away, even before the police entered. And let me tell you something, these criminals have a way of doing it. But as I said, the police, we are looking at every bit of what is happening. And we are putting up a comprehensive operational plan, with that sort of inbuilt capacity, to deal with some of these things in ruthless manner. So we are looking at it. The next time around, it is not only a question of a handful of police going in. We have all it takes, even to break or to cut, you know, that power, you know, to enter. So these are technical issues that need to be done, you know, and we are considering, we are looking at their, you know, the way they do things, and we'll come out with a comprehensive operational action plan, you know, to deal with it. But meanwhile, we are lucky that we have a kind of police force that have the capacity, that tenacity, you know, to fight some of this crime, and we will be doing it. But one key thing is members of the public. We're trying to enlist the support of members of the public. And for all that, the rescue missions that we've done, the public aspect have been very key in the success, so we cannot do away. And talking about what my good friend Mr. Bonas said regarding a task force, yes, the police may be considering this partnership.
Maybe considering,
because
or is considering?
No. The reason is maybe considering, you know, and you look at where you're standing and what you're saying, you know. You get what I mean? Because it's very key, because, you know, some of these legal issues going too far, you know, to take certain decisions. We need not spill out all the processes, you know, on board. So, police remains a security organization. So a task force coming in can speedily.
So you agree with the setup of a task force?
Yeah, no, to deal with it.
To deal with the
to
trend
deal
of
with
kidnapping.
side trend.
Okay.
And one thing is that we need the Ghanaian to be alert, to be up and doing, to provide information, and also people staying in their communities. They should be particular about them. They should look at their actions in actions and help. And I believe that the media should also give, you know, that sort of room, like you've done, you know, to educate the Ghanaians.
Right. And speaking of help, and I just need to make this clear, that one thing we have seen in this trend of kidnappings and how it has gone is the role of individuals, role of private people, and how they have helped. Regarding the Estonian one, you just heard ACP say that people within the neighborhood tipped off the police. The police was already on their routine checks, and then people within the neighborhood tipped off the police that these people, they're behaving strangely. I mean, we Ghanaians are very good at that. You live in the community, you see people, you know, behave in ways that are suspicious, you want to alert the police, and that helps a lot. But ACP, one thing that people have said is that you mentioned the numbers, you know, give the police a call, and the numbers are very long, but people are saying, well, it's just dial 911, dial
191 18555.
But people are saying that the numbers, the other numbers are too long. 18555. It's not everybody that remember. 0302 773906.
That is what we have at the moment. That is what we have.
How difficult is it to change
away from it? Let's stick to it for now. You save it on your phone, you know, emergency, on a speed dial, and whatever happens, you call the 18555, either on Vodafone, MTN, and the 191, and the 0302 773906. You know, and let's talk to the police.
Talk to the police, he says. Talk to the police. And talking to the police, I'm going to show you this picture. The police want this person. This person is on police wanted list. He is wanted by the police. If you see something, say something. If you need to, ACP, you want to say something about this one?
Yeah, this is the car owner, and at the same time, among the 3 kidnappers on a Spintex route, they kidnapped the Lebanese consular general to Estonia. And
this is the vehicle?
This is the vehicle, and he is the rightful owner of the vehicle.
Okay, but has it been established whether or not he was using the vehicle at the time?
Yes, the victim really identified the car as the one used to kidnap him.
Okay, so the police is looking for this gentleman. I mean, we're putting this out because the police is, we're helping the police. We're helping the police to find this gentleman. He is wanted by the police. If you see something, do say something. And again, you know, it's 191 18555 18555. 0302773906. You can reach the police on it if you have any information about this gentleman whose picture you have just seen. I'm going to wrap up quickly. I'll take their final thoughts on what we've been discussing so far. Any quick final thoughts that you want to put together? I don't know which of you want to go first.
Well, I would advise homeowners who are renting to everyone, please check, because then your house might be used as a conduit to perpetrate crime, and you'll be liable for imprisonment if it happens. And so landlords and homeowners who are listening to us, please don't rent to foreigners without checking whether they have residence permit. Let me repeat, landlords who are listening to this program, do not rent to foreigners without checking if they have residence permit, because all this spate of kidnappings we've seen are perpetrated on us by foreigners, i.e. some Nigerians. I wouldn't say all of them, in order not to start anything.
Of course.
But the Nigerian community, they have a role to play. They should come out and point to some of their colleagues who don't have residence permit, because then if you have, it's easy for us to trace you, because then we'll have your information. These are important.
These are important. Landlords, ACP, quick one from
landlords, homeowners will be key focus in our investigations, and that they should heed to this advice by making sure that they have photographs, passport, photocopies of passports, and other relevant documents. Should they give their rooms to foreigners or any other person? I think it is very key, and it will help us in future investigations. And I will say that the police is determined. We have the capacity, we have the strength, to fight this crime, and we'll do that in collaboration with the members of the public, because you cannot fight crime without members of the public, and that symbiotic relationship, should exist at all times for us to win. Because in Ghana here, peace is our precious commodity,
and we will guard it jealously. Well, we've been joined here in the studio, as you're well aware, ACP Kwesi Ofori. He's the Accra Police Operations Commander and Security Analyst Adam Bona. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming. And if you have not taken anything at all from this, you are a landlord, be aware that if your house is used for any of these crimes, you will be held liable.